Always Myles. Love 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 always Myles. From me to you, and you are listening to Love Always Myles. Hello, my love bugs, and welcome back to Love Always Myles. Today we're talking about all things love, but we're starting from the roots, where it all began. Growing up as a child, how do we perceive love, and how do we give love now today? Sometimes we think the way we love is just our personality, that maybe we're just clingy, too emotional, too guarded, too needy, or even too independent. But what if a lot of the ways you learn to love were actually survival strategies? What if your heart adopted the environments that made love feel uncertain? We all know about love languages. Everybody talks about that. Your love language is, the top, one of the top five. Acts of service, physical touch, gift giving, words of affirmation, blase blase. But um, even in that, that's something that is learned, and that's something that is kind of put on you at an early age, whether you really know it or see it or not. For me personally, my love language is acts of service. I love when somebody just does something for me without me having to ask. Um, I love it. It's something. It sets me off, baby. I'm telling you, it sets me off. I get excited. I feel special. I feel seen. I feel heard, and I feel so much love. But also, that comes from my childhood because growing up, I felt like I had to do a lot of stuff. I feel like I was always helping, always the first one to do something, always the first one to jump in and help around the house or a project or whatever the case may be. Um, and I got love from that. Like, I got so much praise and love for being that person that's like caring and giving and open to doing for whoever and whatever. And I still adopt that to this day as an adult. Even with me knowing that, I am the first one to give. I'm the first one to do. If you need it, I'm there. If you need me, I'm there. And I realized in a lot of my relationships, because I do always show up and do, I do tend to have this not best healthy flow of energy because I'm always doing. And then I get upset when somebody doesn't do. And that's kind of toxic. That's a little toxic. Um, if affection disappeared as a younger person, not for me, but during conflict, you learn fear. If overperforming or validation, you learned earning. If your emotions were dismissed, you learned hiding. If people were inconsistent, you learned anxiety. And if you had to be quote unquote the strong one, you learned self abandonment because you always had to be there for everybody else. And those are things that you learn at a very young age without even knowing it. And so as you get older, you realize the way you love and how you handle things is simply because this is how you're programmed almost. Um, Even in the most loving households, we all take on something from our parents and from our environments. And honestly, it only gets worse as we age because we learn from our parents, we learn our love language, we love our home, we learn about our home and about our life in that box. And then as you get older, you go out into the world, you start making friends or start dating. And then you learn another layer about love. You learn what not to do, what to do. Um, you listen to people's comments about you and comparisons about you, and you every step of the way start boxing yourself in, even unconsciously. And it's actually a very scary thing. It's very scary. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's not necessarily a thing where it's like, okay, I learned this. I need to undo everything I learned and become a different person. No, it's not that at all. It's really just understanding why, understanding where it comes from, and being okay with that. I understand that me and my acts of service, I understand where that comes from. And I understand why I need that and why that is so important to me. Um, Not everybody in my life is able to give me that, and I understand and I respect it. But I do have like two solid people. Two solid people. And in love language does have to be an intimate thing, but these are my two solid friends. And I know that they give me that extra service. I feel so loved by them because they will show up. They will do the thing. I do not have to ask. They're thinking about me. They're being proactive, and that's what I love. And I love them deeply. Um, Even now raising a child, which we'll talk about that one day. But even with raising my son, I think about that all the time. Like the healthy ways that I show him love. And even some of the toxic ways. Again, from learned behavior. A lot of times when raising children, we slip into raising them just how our parents raised us. Even if we're like, I'm not gonna do that, I'm gonna be better than that. We slip up, and I hey, players mess up. I've slipped up, but um, I do try not to abandon his heart, his feelings, because I know that the things that I say and some of the things that I do, they are teaching him, and it's gonna be something that he holds for the rest of his life. Some people learn love through safety, others learn through survival. And even though I do believe I was loved deeply as a child, and I got a lot of words of affirmation, I got a lot of positive energy. I also got a lot of people pleasing, and that shows up a lot in my relationships today. I've had to do the work because for me personally, I will make you comfortable even though I'm uncomfortable. I, Even if you're pissing me off, I'm upset, I'm mad, or even sad, I will personally sacrifice my time, my happiness, my feelings to make somebody else feel good. And that is toxic in some type of way. Well, I hate the word toxic. Um, it's not the healthiest in some type of way. It's not because at the end of the day, if I'm suffering, then what are we doing this for? You know? There's been plenty of times where I put people's feelings before mine. And sometimes it's valid and sometimes it's necessary. And then sometimes it's not. But I do feel like that is something I've learned at a younger age is that, hey, you know, you have to make sure you're there for that person. You have to make sure you listen to them, that you show up for them. And I just recently in my life just realized, well, who's gonna show up for me if I don't show up for me? And I have to make sure I'm good. And if the people around me are not making sure that I'm good too, then are they really my people? Hmm. It's very much something. It's very much interesting. Sometimes chaos can feel more recognizable than peace. And that's actually sad. Um, but it's the truth. As you grow older and as you see yourself, you recognize patterns within yourself. Sometimes healthy love, when it comes to you, it really shocks your whole nervous system because you don't even know how to react. You know it's not a bad thing, but it's not what you're used to. And I feel like that's the whole point of this season is getting yourself out of what you're used to, opening your mind to something else. I'm still young, baby. I'm only 25. I'm about to be 26. I'll be 26 when it's dropped, but that's either here or there. Um, and it could be a lot. It could be a lot trying to process your emotions and figuring out who you are without the chaos of the world. But even with that, intimacy can feel exciting, emotional distance can feel normal, overgiving can feel romantic, anxiety can feel like passion because you're so used to feeling that unhealthy side of love. And maybe if you witnessed unhealthy sides of love through your parents, through your grandparents, or through friendships. Sometimes we mistake emotional instability for depth because calm love feels unfamiliar. So our nervous system trained to survive. Peace can feel boring when your body becomes used to emotional chaos. And you know what? This is interesting because a lot of times when I talk to certain people, I remember I was at work and I was talking to a coworker about love and relationships, and we were just, talking about, what kind of man would you want? And I'm like, oh, I want this type of man. I want da da da. He said, that sounds boring. He's like, that sounds so boring. It sounds like it's not exciting. Da da da. And I'm like, you know what? I'm okay with the boring type of love. I'm okay with the boring type of love. I feel like seeing what I guess quote unquote isn't boring, that sounds draining. Like who wants to beg for love, beg for attention, beg for their spot, their space? Who wants to be arguing, yelling, fussing every other day? Like I don't mind a boring type of love. I don't mind just being like, you know what? It's me and my man, and it's just us against the world. Like I don't mind that. But but no, I feel like some of this stuff can get very much boring. It can get very much um flatline, but it's safe, it's real, and it's honest. And some of us don't know the difference. And I feel like that is the interesting part. You have to be careful who you connect yourself to. You have to be careful because especially when you're in the season or if you're in the season of trying to better yourself, understand yourself, love yourself, people they disguise themselves as people that are here to help you, people that are here to guide you, and they could very well be great people, but they also come with their own bag and set of problems and their own set of toxic traits that you have to be open and willing to acknowledge within yourself and know when somebody is not the healthiest with you, because we all love differently. We all see love differently. For me personally, I'm the type of person where I try to be at least open to loving people the way they need to be loved, not just the way I want to love them. Um, and I've had to learn that. I've had to learn that in recent time. Everybody isn't. I'm a little clingy. I'm clingy, baby. I want you, even my friendships, even in my relationships, baby. I want you close. I want you here. But everybody doesn't love that way. Some people need that free range. Some people need that space. Some people need that distance. Some people need that fly like a bird energy. And you know what? I have to be okay with saying, you know what? I'm gonna let you fly. I'm gonna let you fly, baby. And then even though sometimes, even though for me it hurts me, honestly, even though for me it may hurt, or I may not like it, but I can understand how maybe you may need that. Um, you're not broken. When you do feel deeply and when you do get anxious and when you do have these inner problems. You're not broken. Learned behaviors can be unlearned. Awareness is just the beginning. It's really just the beginning of knowing who you are and who you want to be. Self compassion matters. Healing is relearning safety. And even if you grew up in a loving household, even if you grew up in a little toxic city, if you, no matter what you grew up in, you can learn to be better. And that's what this season is about. That's what this topic is about. Learning to love yourself more, learning to love yourself and love others around you in a better way. Um, you're not failing at love. I feel like that could feel like it sometimes. For me personally, I have. I've thought all of those things. Maybe I'm too much. Maybe I'm too clingy. Maybe I'm too emotional. Maybe, girl, no, you're not. I know I'm not. But I can be a little emotional. But at the same time, the people who are meant to love me and I am meant to love, they understand that. They get that. And I want you to know that I see you. I feel you. I'm on the same page. You may just be loving from wounds that never got a language, that you never fully addressed. Healing is not becoming someone else, it's learning that you no longer have to survive people you love. And I think that's beautiful. I think that's so beautiful. I think that we should always try to strive to be better, and we should always try to strive to understand ourselves on a deeper level because we're forever changing. I'm forever changing, even through recording this season and stepping into this new chapter of something I really wanted to do. I'm learning so much about myself. And I just hope you guys are down with the ride with me. Maybe becoming is not about turning into something new. Maybe it's about meeting yourself honestly for the first time and choosing to love yourself gently enough to learn new ways of being loved, slowly, safely, and without shame. So I'll see you next Sunday. Love yourself some more, give yourself some grace, learn to be in love for yourself, and be open, most importantly. Be open to the fact of bettering yourself and changing the narrative. But until next Sunday, love always, Myles.